Welcome to T Boys TV. We are back again with another Hatter Show, obviously 156 episode. And obviously, in today's, we are going to be reacting to that Sheffield United game. Obviously, as it says in the title, being favourites isn't our thing. Obviously, I would say, from memory, like I said, going into it, it was our first time this season being favourites. Even when we played Burnley at home, like I said, because of the expectations everyone had for Burnley, or most people, shall I say, them finishing a lot higher than they're going to. They were obviously favourites in that one. So yeah, it's just not our thing, like I say. But obviously player ratings, all of that we're doing. But like always, I'm joined with my dad. How are we, Dad?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. I hope you're cool. I hope everyone's good.
Yeah, I'm all good. Hope you're good as well. And big up to everyone because I know a lot of people have been waiting and a few comments have been coming already. Big up to Mile High Hotspur. He says, big up, big shout from Denver, Colorado. Huge hug to all in the chat. Smash the likes. Big up to yourself, mate. Hope you're well. Hi, Ty Dads. It was inevitable. We just got to stick with the boys, give them our support and move on. Yep, 100% agree. Obviously, Jackie going into it, obviously because we were the favourites, you and a few others wasn't too keen on that. And, after how the game went, you understand why. But yeah, big up to Paul as well. He says, good evening, lads. And big up to Stephen as well. But yeah, let's get into it. So the lineup, no complaints from my end because it is exactly what I went with. Which was obviously Kaminsky in goal, Burke, Osho, Bell, Chio on the right, Doughty on the left, Lukonga and Barkley, and then Clark, Morris, and Elijah. And then as for the bench, Berry, Brown, Chong, Kabore, Krul, Menji, Ruddock, Townsend, Woodrow. Still no Hashioka. Obviously he was still adapting, getting used to things. But it is that stage for me where, the Man United game, I'm not saying he should start, but for me, he should at least be involved in the team now. It's been quite a lot of games now since the home one against Brighton. Totally get that, because we only just signed him pretty much. Being at home as well, see what the surroundings, the atmosphere is like. Obviously, the away game against Newcastle, I get that as well. See what an away day is like in that sense. But that now I feel it is time. It is time for him to be involved in the squad. Hopefully is against Man United. I'm not saying he should start, like I say, but he should be at least on the bench for me. But yeah, like I say, no complaints on the lineup, from my end, because like I said, it's exactly what I said. And yeah, it's pretty much what you said as well, Dad. I think, bar maybe one player. I think you maybe said Townsend in this ahead of Clark, didn't you?
Yeah. So, pretty much expected, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. So no complaints upon that end. But going into the first half, obviously the first talking point, which I'm going to get into, was obviously Norton Davies. Obviously, he got that injury, which did obviously look quite bad. And as much as he said what he said, about us when he left, and that, it's one where I actually did feel a bit sorry for him, because you could see the pain, straight away. And it's a bit gutting in a way, so I did want to see, him up against, obviously our players out wide, see how that would have went. But yeah, obviously that wasn't overly great to see. You don't as much as we didn't like his comments. You don't wish injuries or anything like that on anyone, to be honest. So it was quite bad to see. Obviously, he did have a bit of tears coming out of his eyes as well. So it wasn't great to see there. And then obviously, the first half, it was one where, Sheffield United did have a few chances, obviously quite early on. They had a chance that went wide, and we was thinking, whoa, well, we thought that was in. I'm not going to lie. I think it was McAtee. I believe it was McAtee that shot. I did think, I had that feeling that he might have a decent game in this one because obviously we got his brother out on loan, obviously that sort of thing as well. Just maybe that sense, and he is a good player. Obviously as we know, obviously he is on loan from Man City. Even in the pre-season for City before he went out, he was scoring a few goals in the friendly games. And then obviously I did get that goal. Archer had a chance, about 30 seconds before before he scored, where he should have really scored before that. If we're being honest, I was like, how did he miss that? That was a great opportunity, and then obviously he did redeem himself. But the frustrating thing for me is, you know, Osho in this one, it's like someone said in my comments actually, and I totally agree with it on my Instagram reel, is that Osho with his pace, sometimes he relies on it too much, and you don't see him put in that tackle. I think the last time he put in a sliding tackle that I can think of from memory was the one where he got sent off against Watford. Since then he's not really seemed to do it. You see it in the Newcastle game as well, the second goal. Obviously Gordon was making that run. Yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating one to concede. Given that they were having chances upon chances as well. Like I said, obviously not too long ago before that, obviously Archer had that chance as well. It just wasn't great. And then obviously he redeemed himself, but from our end, it wasn't the greatest, was it, Dud?
No, that's twice in a couple of games that he sort of got caught out there. And the thing is, he did have the opportunity just at least attempt the slide tackle. And you're right; it's almost like he doesn't trust himself in that respect. But we can't be doing that. And Archer's always going to run forward there because the thing is, the other defenders expected him to get something on it and clip, and so they were a little bit behind. I didn't anticipate it too well. He was always going to score, and then the defending before that, when Archer nearly scored as well, weren't great. I think Burke was really poor in this game, much as Osho, he's still sort of put in a couple of decent tackles. I think Burke on, all three of the goals really. I was a little bit unfortunate with the next talking point and that, but I think he still isn't quite up to speed. And we know he's good at going forward and that, but we haven't really seen him like proper. A little bit, but I think because of his injuries, stop-start season. I'm surprised that Menji was on the bench, to be honest. But if Menji were, was still semi-recovering, then I can understand it. But yeah, we've got to have more strength on the bench in the next game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then obviously, like you say, the next talking point, a penalty. Unfortunately, in the modern day, it is a penalty. His arms, out. Whether it's intentional or not, it's out. It's going to be given. And I just, when it happened, I had that feeling that it was going to be, obviously from Burke, and then obviously McAtee, who I said who had a few chances, in the game before that. Obviously, the chance early on in the game, obviously was, causing, quite a bit of a threat to us at times. Obviously, had the penalty, and it's 50-50 penalties, isn't it? Sometimes you might save them, sometimes a miss, or, sometimes they score them, and obviously he did. Obviously Kaminsky went the wrong way. Good penalty, to be honest. And from there on in, me personally, I felt it was going to be, a long afternoon. Given the pressure, they had on us as it was, and we just didn't really look at it. If I'm being honest, we had a few chances in the first half. I know Elijah had a chance that went wide. Obviously, again, I know it's hard to, replicate what he's done the last couple of weeks, but I don't feel his performance was overly great. They had a few chances, but from what we've seen, it wasn't great. I thought Morris was better in this game, to be honest. I thought Morris was quite unlucky. Even going into the second half, Morris and Elijah switched. Morris was the highest up at one point, and we didn't really expect that in games going forward because we felt Morris was better, holding on the ball and then looking for that forward pass to Elijah, who's good at getting in behind players and that sort of thing. So, it wasn't great. There were a bit half and half chances as well, from us, if I'm being honest. It wasn't the best of first halves at all. Was it, Dad?
I don't even think they had a shot on target, to be honest.
No.
And the penalty, I can see why it was given. Handball, I think they need to it's so inconsistent, or you don't know what it is. It should be, if there's a deliberate if it looks like there's a movement towards the ball and it affects the direction of the ball, then it should be a penalty. If it hits your hand from whatever guard to it, then it shouldn't be. But in this case, you could see whether it's in his arm was out, yeah, that's fine. You know, that ain't a problem for me. Like if someone's jumping to try and win the header, then generally their arms are going to be out. You know, they're not Inspector Gadget. So they're not going to be jumping like a corkscrew or whatever. But if you know, again, if you saw it, then you did kind of see that Burke's hand did sort of towards the ball, and it did affect the trajectory, which obviously then it went to Kaminsky. Yeah, no one complained in that, but that's the problem when you got VAR. They're gonna interpret it as that. So they were looking at it themselves, obviously, and see the flicks, and that's why they got him to stop it. And for referees, a lot of these referees bottle it when they go to the screen and just say, yeah, I'll go with that then. Yeah, so. Yeah, and we were just huffing and puffing. Like I said, it was and I did mention it to you. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last show, but when we went and watched Bolton, we were a bit like that, dominating possession, but not really playing with that edge, that intensity that we do against when we're not the favourites, basically. And it's exactly the same kind of performance, to be honest. And obviously we got punished more because Sheffield United are obviously better than Bolton. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, it's disappointing. I expected us to come out, as I said to you as well, in the second half and just turn it around. But again, we didn't. And they had key players missing, like say Norrington Davis coming off, unfortunately for him. Again, I would have liked to see that battle. And then no McBurney, who's normally the geezer that G's them up.
No Brenton Diaz either.
Yeah, they just done a number, and that was made it even more disappointing. Obviously there is slight positives to take, the amount of possession we had and things like that. Like the most I think we've had this season, one of the most of the weekend. So that's a good sign, in itself still. But we just sort of don't know how to cope with the teams are defending against us. It's like, like what we do, we should know it because obviously we do it in training, surely, when we do the low block and stuff. Maybe need to work a little bit harder on that. I don't know. I just think it was. I don't think they were expecting because they weren't making mistakes or anything. They just weren't being clinical and
enough. Yeah, and the final third was poor at times.
Yeah, and again the defending weren't great. The penalties, you could say a bit farcical, but it happened. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you say, you had that sense of belief and. Mine slightly changed, obviously, in the second half, and obviously we did get the penalty. If you're giving a penalty for them for that reason, you sort of give us one for that reason. Obviously Elijah went to head it. Obviously, a player had their round out, and obviously Morris. A lot of pressure on Morris. For me taking this penalty because obviously he took 2 last week. He had to take 2 in the end. Obviously, buried them both. Same way, and. Obviously went the same sort of side again, obviously on that right side. And, it was a good penalty. Took it very well. Again, still hasn't missed a penalty yet for us. So shout out to him. Obviously, that's the second time from memory that he's done that at home this season in the league. Obviously, the last one was Wolves. So fair play. I started to maybe believe, especially with, like I say, Morris. He did move up to the highest up front, which, like I say, the games coming up, we wouldn't have expected that, because how well it was originally working with Elijah the highest and Morris just behind. But like I say, I felt Morris was unlucky in this game, even though he did score. Obviously, he did have a few chances in the second half as well that he's quite unlucky with. And, he, for me, out of the whole front line, he was definitely the best one. And then I thought when Chong come on as well, he was really good again. Another game where he's come on and tried to make an impact, and I felt he was very unlucky. Obviously, he had a shot near the end of the game. Like the second half, we were putting a lot more pressure on him, but it's like we say, the final third, clinicalness, it just wasn't there. Doughty had the ball a few times. I see a stat, I think it was the most chances he created or something in this game, the whole season or something like that. But obviously nothing to show for it. There was a cross he did do towards the end of the game. Last sort of 10 minutes where he's crossed it in and he's overhit it. For his standards, it wasn't good enough in this game. Let's be honest. I even saw a stat yesterday or might have been Sunday when I was watching one of the games, goals from set pieces. I think it's the West Ham Arsenal game actually, and we're up there. We're actually in the top 5 set pieces. So that's why I was very disappointed because we had a lot of corners in this game. We had double figure corners and we just weren't making the most of them. A lot of them were going front post from Doughty. I did think at some point, especially given, all right, it wasn't a corner, but the set piece goal we got against Newcastle last week, that was Ross Barkley on the first goal, wasn't it? I felt we should have given him a go at it. Let him have a set piece, let him have a corner, see how he does. Because the Doughty ones were just similar. They were similar front post, front post, front post. It didn't matter what end. They were just front post. So it wasn't a great performance for me from him. Like I say, even though, people go on, oh, he created this, he created that. Did we score from it? No. Do you know what I mean? That's what I care about. And for his standards, it wasn't good enough, in my opinion. So yeah, that's that on that. Like I say, obviously, then they made it 3-1. Obviously, it's annoying here from Osho again for me because he's won it, he's done well to win it, and then he's taken 1 or 2 touches, and then obviously they win the ball straight away. It's crowded anyway in that area. He should have just, even if he just smashed it up there, I wouldn't have been fussed, or just get it out for a throw for them, whatever. I just feel that was very annoying. Then obviously they had a bit of space out to pass it out to the player who made it 3-1. A good finish, but again, it could be avoidable. It could be avoidable for me. But what did you make of that third goal, Dad, they got?
Yeah, we'll just call that like the penalty situation. Their one, I think, you could, if that was against us, obviously that's pretty harsh. But like I say, that he just felt, oh, I've got to even it up. It was headed on kind of onto his hands, but it was just like that. It wasn't like, I don't think it was that bad, to be honest. I think he was quite lucky with that. But at the end of the day, Morris stepped up, took exactly the same penalty as he took in the previous game, scored it, great run up. And grabbed the ball and was like, yes, come on, let's get back into it. Didn't do it. And then the defending poor from Osho should have. I get why he's taking the touches now. He's confident in himself in that, but you've got to just do certain basics right, like in that situation. And then again, Burke was slow to react. So yeah, and that was it. We knew then it was definitely done. And that's when people started walking out and that, and they get criticised, but at the end of the day, they pay the money anyway. It doesn't really matter whether they walked out or not, because the thing is, we weren't playing like we could get back in it. We've been 3-0 down or whatever against other teams, and then we start going like Chelsea, for instance. But that you could see that wasn't happening in this game, and it wasn't going to happen in this game. So it's rare. It's like one of the first times, and it's common, unfortunately, in the Premier League. And when you get certain people, probably they probably some of these people probably held on to a season ticket for years and just stopped going, or their mates are suddenly like, yeah, I'll come with you, and that, and yeah, I don't know. Last time I walked out game was Accrington Stanley.
Accrington Stanley, yeah.
Quick goals, said score again, and that was still like after the 70th minute or something, 75th minute, I think.
Yeah.
But we just have to, perform how we know we can at home. Again, we got got to be up for the next game. Yeah, although they've been a bit, up and down this season. Manchester United currently they're finding ways to win games, even if they're not playing well. They're scoring freely. They seem to be kicking on a little bit, and for all the criticism they get, they're still like up there, looking to get in Europe and stuff. They've already beat us this season. We was a little bit defensive against them. We didn't do too bad, to be fair. So we just need to be better. We know we get home, we should be all right. Make a couple of changes as well, I think. I think it needs to be done. And yeah, just see what happens then. But just not great defending again. they defended well. They contained and they made it hard for us to break down, and credit to them. But we did give easy. But swings and roundabouts. When we played them at their ground, there was 2 own goals. Yeah, we forced it, but to score 2 own goals is quite unlucky. So that's how football is sometimes. But I think the next game will be close. Obviously, we didn't get into it on the next show and that, but I think it'll be, performance will be there again. Has to be simple as that. So
yeah, that's a Super Sunday. You know what I mean? So we've got, the whole world will be watching that. You know what I mean? Like the Liverpool game, when we played them at home, it'll be like that as well. Obviously, when it comes to kickoff times and that sort of thing. So we got to respond. We've got to respond. And definitely perform better for sure. It is going to be difficult, like you say, because Man United, they are kicking on a little bit. I did watch the game against Villa. Villa were peppering them at times, but United got the job done. And you have to give a bit of credit to Ten Hag, in my opinion, because he took Rashford off. Managers in the past wouldn't have done that. He brought on McTominay, said, "You're going higher up," and he scored a winner, didn't he? So, fair play in that sense. But it'll be interesting. Like I say, and for me, the last game at Old Trafford, like you say, we did play decent. The thing for me in that game was we just didn't go at them enough. Other than that Morris header, which, to be fair, I know Onana's had very questionable games. And saying that, against Villa, he was really good, actually, I felt. And against us, he was really good. But other than that header, I just didn't really feel we possessed too much, that we could have. Obviously, again, it was always going to be difficult because going to Old Trafford and that. But I just felt if we went at them a bit more, we could have got something out of that. But we're at home this time, and we did say, and this is the only one we've got now at home anyway. We will beat one of the so-called Big Six. So hopefully it's United. Otherwise, that wasn't a good prediction, was it? But yeah, let's go through some comments, and then we'll go into the player ratings. Big up to Alex. He says, whoever stayed in that ground for 3-1 had my full respect because it was the worst performance ever. Doubt easily the worst on the pitch. Like I say, I don't feel he was great. Like I say, people going on about the stats thing. I don't care. Did we score from him? No, that's what matters. For his standards, we know he's very good at set pieces. And in this game, they were poor. Let's just be real with it. They're all going to the front post or overhit, that cross right at the end of the game. And even Morris was frustrated with that. I was like, come on, for his standards, he wasn't great. I'll give you that. So, yeah. And Stephen says, big up to you as well, Dad. Hanno says, Top says enough, really. Yeah, exactly. Favourites isn't your thing. No, absolutely isn't. David says, left early for the first time of the season. Don't know what was up with the squad. The only positive was the pen. Defending was too poor. It was frustrating because it was a must-win game run over. Yeah, obviously it was a bit annoying because, like I said, I put must-win game. For me, the more I think about it, as much as it's not great to lose to them, of course not, because, it's a relegation rival. They haven't won away all season and they score 3 against us. At the same time, maybe looking back at it, it was a must not lose. But draw wouldn't have been awful because when you think about it, a lot of the teams around us this weekend lost. So it's a bit annoying in that sense because we could have extended it, especially with Everton, for example. Obviously, they lost to City, didn't they? We could have extended the lead there. Brentford won, which I didn't expect, to be honest. Even a game like yesterday, Palace. Obviously, if we won, and they lost, we'd only be a point behind them. Do you know what I mean? So there's certain things like that, but I guess it's not the end of the world. But people do say we've got the game in hand, but we need to make the most of it. That is, for me, a must not lose because Bournemouth away, it's not going to be easy, at all. Obviously, we've still got to play them at home. So if that was me, I'd more target the game at home to try and win, and then the away one, try not to lose it. And then I think we're in a good sort of position. But then, like we say, we have got a lot of the teams that are in the battle as well, like Forest at home, Bournemouth. Well, not necessarily Bournemouth, but at the moment. But you never know. They're games that we are going to be, for me, should be approaching to definitely try and win. Them, Forest. There's a few others. Everton. You know, them sort of games at home. David says, "Hope you're both well as well." Yep, good. Thanks, mate. Hope you're well. And then early score prediction from David there says, "I think we'll beat United, hopefully 2-1." I'll say I hope we obviously win, of course, especially like what I said. You know, we will beat one of the so-called big six at home, and United's the only one we've got. You know, so hopefully, but it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But yeah, moving on to the player ratings. Start off with Kaminsky. Now, obviously, he did concede 3, but a lot of the goals I can't really put him down to. Maybe the third one potentially. You know, maybe he could have saved that one. But the penalty, you know, let's say it's 50-50, you know, whether you can save them or not, sort of thing. You know, it's sort of like the lottery in that sense. And then obviously the first goal, again, I don't really blame him for that. So they did concede 3. So I'm going to go 6.5, Kaminsky.
I'll give him a 6. Like, I do like that's the last one. He didn't really get his hands close to them either. Like, so I know maybe I'm expecting too much of him, but in other games he's managed to get stuff on to things and that. You know, and if he doesn't trust his defence, you know, that's not good for a goalkeeper's confidence. We need to get that back up. We can't just suddenly fall apart defensively because, you know, let's be honest, we've conceded 7 goals in the last 2 games, and that's not great. You know, especially for us. You know, we haven't got battered. The first time we concede, second time we concede 4, we still score 4, so it's not that bad. But yeah, I'm just going to give him a 6.
Yeah. Big up to everyone doing player ratings. A lot of people joining in, so big up. Kaminsky 7, says Paul. David's gone 6 as well. Stephen's gone 6.8. Alex is on the same wavelength. He's gone with 6 as well. And yeah, Jackie's gone with a 6 as well. And then moving on to Osho, like I say, not a great game from him. You know, the first goal I think he could have done better. The third one as well, like I said. You know, he has had good games. Maybe he's a bit like Bell when it comes to, you know, the left centre back role. He can be good there, but he can have, you know, inconsistent games. You know, Osho, I think when he's on the left or the right, you know, of that centre back, he's really good. You know, and I can rely on him a lot. But the middle, I'm still not overly sure. You know, maybe he has, you know, might be a bit inconsistent there because I've seen a few times not been the best there. You know, you even see in the first half, thinking about it, Bell actually went in the middle, didn't he, of the back 3? And that was, you know, that tells you how bad they were. You know what I mean? He's more of a left-sided player, you know. So for me, Osho, yeah, it wasn't a great game. I'm going to be honest from him. So I'm going to go 5.5.
I'm going to give him a 6. Like, I think that, yeah, it weren't the greatest performance from him, and you can say that. But for me, like, maybe like Burke should have been the one who was actually chasing down for the first goal because he's playing in the right back position, if that makes sense. So Osho doing it, but Burke should have been at least like coming in, like, for me. I'll give him 6.
Fair enough. Paul's gone with 6.5. Jackie's gone with 6. Alex gone with 5. David's gone with 5 as well. Stephen says, Osho, hopefully this is a blip. He's gone with 6. So yeah, and then moving on we'll go over to Burke. Like I say, you know, I do agree with you, Dad. It weren't a great game, you know, from him either. And it's, like I say, it's not the penalty thing, you know. It's one of them unlucky ones, but like I say, in modern day, that is a penalty. I just felt his performance wasn't the best. I do feel out of the whole back 3, Bell was the best one, you know, out of the lot. Still not overly, you know, great, but, you know, out of them lot, I do think he was the best one. Burke, like I say, not overly great. You know, especially when you look at, you know, a performance like, you know, even though Mendy was the one who stood out, like a performance like Everton away in the FA Cup, you know, Burke was pretty decent in that, but not great in this game. So for Burke, I'm going to say he was slightly better than Osho. I'm going to go over 6.
In my opinion, it's the opposite. The more I think about it, the more I've seen it as well. Apparently, I don't know about it. You know, it's intentional or not, I'm going to say maybe. But just his tracking back, like, this is where we're missing Lockyer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he would have been rushing back in there to try, and that weren't happening in this game. Because he's been going forward quite a lot, and he hasn't really had a hell of a lot of it. He has defended in a few games, but he hasn't had a hell of a lot. I just think it's one of his poor games, and this is what happens when your team your season is stop-start, similar to Clark, who also performed, in my opinion, quite badly. So I'm going to give him a 5.5.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Paul's gone with a 6.5 for Burke. Alex gone 4.5. Jackie's gone 5.5. David's gone with a 5. Stephen says Burke's positioning was a little wayward, but like best of a bad bunch, in his opinion, 6.5. And then moving on to Bell, we'll go over to Bell. Like I say, for me personally, out of the whole back three, he was the best one. Like I say, in the first half, he actually went to the middle out of the three, and I think that says a lot, about how the others performed. It still wasn't, great, of course. Part of that, it did concede, obviously, 3 goals. I'm going to go over 6 again.
I'll give him 6.5. I think he weren't really involved in any of them mishaps, if you like. I mean, he was trying to get the ball forward. He was passing in the right places. I don't really remember him making many mistakes. Well, obviously, because we conceded 3, I'm going to just give him a 6.5.
Yeah. Paul's gone 7.5. 6.5 says Jackie. Alex gone with 7. Did I say 6 for Bell? Yeah, I meant 6.5. I'll give Burke the same one. How's that work? And I said Bell was better. So yeah, 6.5 I meant to say. And then moving on to, we'll go over to Doughty. Like I say, it wasn't a great performance from him. Like I say, yes, he created all these chances, but we didn't score from him. And for his standards, like I say, when it comes to set piece goals, we're actually up there. We're in the top 5. It wasn't good enough. A lot of them were front posts, either side. And then that one at the end, it did annoy me because it was just overhit. It was overhit. Even Morris was frustrated with it, like I said. And yeah, it just wasn't great from him, to what we know he can do. That threat he can possess, from set pieces. So for me, Doughty, I'm going with a 5.5.
I don't think it was terrible from Doughty. Say, like, the chances, I mean, I didn't really see that as statistically, it was just something that was said. For me, like, he was taking a lot of corners. He was, taking the free kicks and stuff. Like, we had quite a few in that respect. So, yeah, it's going to, but they weren't, it was like, when they say, oh, they had shots, you've had 20 shots, but only one of them's been on target. It was like that, really. It was a sight off. But again, I've said to you, like, he's playing every single game. I think he needs a little bit of a rest, in my opinion. But now we've got rid of Giles. You're going to have to think about putting someone else there. I mean, who?
Yeah.
Bell?
But then again, who are you going to put in centre backs? We've got, obviously, Lockyer's out. Anderson's still injured as it stands. I don't know if he'll be back for United.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's
the thing, isn't it?
There's a bit of pressure on him, and that, I mean, Chio. I think Chio can play on that side as well. And he has.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, he could play both.
But I think he does need a little bit of a rest, to be fair. So I'm going to go 6.5.
Yeah. We talk about Doughty, wasn't it? 6 says Paul. Doughty 5.5 says Jackie. Stephen's rating on Bell as well, by the way. He says Bell wasn't the full package. Good forward, all I can say. 6. Like I say, Alex wasn't impressed with his performance at all. Doughty's 3.5. Doughty 4 says David. Yeah, I mean, that is a shout. Even though I'm not, I'm still not overly keen on him. Like I say, something he would have done against for that first goal, is he would have went in for that slide tackle. You saw him do that against Newcastle with Gordon in the first game. Obviously he didn't play in the second one. So maybe you could do that. You could put him on the right of the wing back and then put Bell on the left potentially. Maybe that's a good shout. Doughty off form. Crossing was very poor. Still worked hard, but needed that little extra 6. I do agree with that. And then moving on to Chio. Again, not a great game from Chio. A lot of times he was on the ball. He lost it. And it just was very weird to see. For a player of his standards. I was saying in the first half, though, I did feel at times we did need to play it more out towards that side more. So we was playing it out to the left quite a lot, and it was a bit frustrating because it sort of was like Sheffield United knew what we were going to do there. We didn't try and switch it up because, have faith in Chio. He can play very well on that right wing back. Obviously, as we go forward, Hashioka gets more, involved with the squad, and then we can play Chio more forward because that is ideally what we want to do. But this game, it wasn't great. Like I say, did lose the ball a few times. I don't think it was as bad as like Doughty, but I just don't feel he's still great. I'll go over 6 for Chio.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 average, but we didn't really pass it to him, didn't give him the service, as you said, and that's one of our problems. It's that in that game. Maybe they were marking him a little bit, but he didn't really get enough opportunity. Keep part, eventually he might, especially when they had to make the sub and take Norwood and Davis off as well. That we should have exploited that a little bit more. But I'm just going to give him a 6.
Yeah, fair enough. Paul's gone with a 7 for Chio. Other ratings for Chio are Alex says Chio not best, but not the worst. I'd say 6.5. Yeah, I'd agree. When it comes to his performance, 5.5 says Jackie, and then Stephen's gone with a 6 for Chio. Moving on to, we'll go over to the midfield now. We'll start off with Lokonga. I thought he was one of the, better players in this game. Obviously he was trying to find that pass at times, similar to, the pass he did for the second goal. We're trying to pick out them passes at times, but like we said, Sheffield United, to be fair, did defend pretty well, but we just didn't capitalise on it with our set pieces, that we know we can possess and be very good at. I thought it was decent. I felt a bit sorry for him, to be honest, because he was, like I say, he was one of the better players, in my opinion. I'm going to go, when it comes to Lokonga, I'm going to go with do you know what? I'll go with 7 for Lokonga.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I didn't remember him putting a foot wrong, particularly in the first half. He's had the right passes. He was actually trying to defend and win the ball like more than a lot of the other players. I felt a little bit sorry for him, because he was all right. And he's settled in really well. I think I've heard he's the highest paid player we've got, possibly. Obviously on loan from Arsenal. So, but yeah, I'll give him 7.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Jackie's gone with a 6.5. That is Alex's man of the match. Lokonga says, in a very poor team performance, never give up and always looked like he wanted to try and find the spark. Yeah, exactly. Like I say, just trying to pick out them passes. Stephen says, Lokonga looked composed, good passes, trying to find pockets, but 10 men parking a bus is difficult. 7. That's his rating for that. And then I think Paul did the rating for Lokonga. Yeah, he did 7.5. So he's gone with a higher rating for Lokonga. And then moving on to Barkley. Obviously people, said their thoughts, that he was part to play, with a mistake on the one of the goals. I feel his performance was okay, though. It wasn't as good as we know it can be, of course. I still felt, he held up the ball well, picked out passes pretty well. His marking wasn't the best in this game, but I don't think that just comes down to him. I just think most of the team weren't great, and it just didn't really help him, if I'm being honest. So I'm not going to go too low for Barkley. I'm going to go with a 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. When he's on the ball, he's quite comfortable. You can't expect him to do it all the time anyway. He was, playing at a certain level, even when he's not great, he's still good.
Yeah,
But the rest of the team needs to be working at a level for him to get that extra, special pass and things like that. So 6.5.
yeah. Jackie's gone 5.5 for Barkley. Alex says sloppy again last 2 games. His performance has gone back down 6, but he's still very good on a bad day. Yeah, exactly. And then moving on we'll start off with Clark out of the front 3. Yeah, he wasn't great in this game. I would have still started him though, but I do feel and I would have said it unless he had a really good performance, like he scored 1 and got an assist for 1. I would have went with Townsend the next couple of games anyway because of the teams they are. Yeah, especially when we go away to Anfield next week. I feel we need that experience. I was surprised that he didn't start against Newcastle, if I'm being honest. But obviously, we got a good draw in the end, so you can't really complain. But yeah, Clark wasn't too great in this game. If I'm being honest, wasn't for me wasn't really involved in times. And then when he was, he just wasn't great. On the ball a few times and losing out wasn't great, especially when we know he's very good at getting on the ball, taking that control, getting it past players, and he likes to do that. But in this game, it just weren't great from him. So I'm going to go with 6 for Clark. Average.
Boy, pretty anonymous. Definitely his worst performance so far. This is where you find out if the level in it really. It's a bit, it's better than. No disrespect to Berry, but I feel Clark is better than Berry. But then it's like the Woodrow thing: is he good enough? Is he not good enough? Do you know what I mean? Like you can try. I know Woodrow a bit high because he hasn't really started any games, has he? But Clark's had a few. He's played decent in a couple of games though, but I don't know. He's the type of player that I would have expected to perform better in this kind of game.
Yeah. You'd look at him in that sort of Hamer battle, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So I'm just going to go for 5.5.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Jackie's gone with the exact same. Stephen's gone with a 5. So has Paul as well. And Alex says Clark awful, needs to be dropped. Clark 3.5. Yeah, like I say, even the next couple of games because of who they are. In the set, especially you go to grounds like Anfield. I'll be starting the experience like Townsend for sure. Personally, so yeah, and then moving on to we'll go over to Morris. Like I say, out of the front 3, he was definitely the best one. Like I say, obviously, as the second half went on, early on in the second half, obviously he went higher up. Him and Elijah switched. I thought he was unlucky. Took the penalty very well. Like I say, there was for me quite a bit of pressure on him. With that penalty, with the sense that we had to take 2 last week. Obviously this game as well to try and give us a bit of hope. Early on, that we can get back into it. Took it very well, like you said earlier, Dad. And if I was to give a man a match, he would be mine, to be honest. So yeah, based on that, I'm gonna go Morris. I'm gonna go with 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. He is my man in the match. In the first half, he had a really good touch. He was dribbling it down the wing. Do you know what I mean? Like he just seemed more effective than anyone else. And obviously, when we come out in the second half, got that penalty, took it, with aplomb. And then we were trying to G us up, right? Let's get back into this. And then it didn't happen. But I thought he tried really hard. He's definitely earned his place back in the team. Like even if Elijah's a bit dropping off, then like you say, maybe we can switch him around. Because I don't think Elijah should be dropped yet. We haven't really got a lot of backup, have we? To be honest. So yeah, 7.5. He'll be disappointed because that was probably one of his better performances in the last couple of games, and everyone else around him, was average. So yeah, man of the match for me, 7.5.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's the first time, Dad, he's got votes from us this season. Obviously, he's joint there with a lot of people that are on 2 at the moment. See, Barkley's still quite far ahead on our thing as it stands. Jackie said Morris 7.5. It's the same as me there. Alex gone with 6. Stephen says Morris looked like a threat. Still needs to impose himself, huge strength, but best of the team, man of the match as well. 7.5. Yeah, no, I'd agree. It's like when he wasn't really in the games, and we were having that conversation. Should he be dropped? And then obviously did eventually get dropped. You know, he wasn't using them sort of things to his benefit, like his strength, like you say, and being that aerial presence. You know, for me was the main sort of thing. But yeah, like you say, you wouldn't drop him at all. And Elijah, yeah, exactly, because there's not really anyone else up front, essentially, is there? There's obviously players that play behind, but yeah, I do agree with that. And he is still the top scorer, isn't he, Elijah? So, you know, it's one of them.
Yeah, touch on that again. You know, earlier on in the season, well, actually twice now, Elijah's had the opportunity to score 3 consecutive games.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Morris is actually on that now because
he scored against Newcastle and now this game, yeah.
Yeah, so he could be the guy, you know. And that, I'd like to see that as well, you know, obviously both of them, but actually Morris, because he's had a bit of an up and down season. Do you know what I mean? They both have to a certain extent, but I feel Morris deserves more goals. You know, he had a great shot in that game as well, like, you know, a proper Premier League strike that was, going to the corner, pulled, you know, keeper pulled off a good save and stuff. So yeah, you know, he's starting to, you know, get on some of the crosses or the corners and header it back down like he was in the Championship, things like that. So, yeah, I want him to be nice to see him score against Man United, I tell you that. But yeah, man of match, 7.5.
Yeah, it's like as well. Obviously, that shot. I know it was a bit earlier on in the season, and he was on good form then against Sheffield. Not Sheffield United, Wolves, where he hit the bar. Do you remember that from or post? It's either way the woodwork. In the game, obviously, he drew 1-1 and he scored. And you know, it's like Elijah and Morris sort of changed, isn't it? In the sense of their form. You know, Morris started off really well. Elijah didn't start off so great, but then as the season's gone on, Elijah's done well. You know, slightly better than Morris, but Morris is kicking on a little bit. So, like I say, it'd be nice if he does that against Man United. You know, we shall see. But yeah, moving on to Elijah, I'll say he did have a few chances, but he wasn't great for me. You know, in this game, you know, I'll tell you what, that shot where Fotheringham made himself look big, you know, that was a good save. You know, originally when I saw it, I thought, you know, maybe he should have scored, but looking back, it was a decent save. But there was a chance he had, you know, a bit earlier on in the game. I think it might have been, the first half where he put it wide. I think, you know, he should have done a little bit better. I think he sort of sliced at it and rushed it. You know, and obviously the change of position, you know, where he dropped back, you know, you really see too much of him other than that corner chance, like I say. So for me, Elijah, I'm going to go with I'm not going to go super low, but I'll go with 6.
Yeah, I agree. 6. You know, he's involved. You can't expect it every, you know, single game, but sometimes you want players to get on the ball and try and make stuff happen. That's what makes a difference sometimes. And I think that's what we're kind of missing in this game, because in the Premier League, if you know, when we've gone low block against teams and things like that and tried to catch them, they've always had someone who will come on as, you know, a certain player or a couple of players that will just switch it on and cause that damage. You know, the goal against Burnley. I mean, you know, when they scored against us, straight from the kickoff after we'd scored. We've done that couple of, you know, that sort of thing. We need that more. I think we've got the players to do it, but they need to just do it. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah. Big up to Geordie in the chat. He says, "Way lads." And he says, "Big up to yourself, mate. Hope you're well." Jackie says she agrees about what you said about Morris. Adebo, good holding up ball, but no service for me. Couldn't get into it as much as he would have liked. 6.5. So Stephen, and then a 6 for Elijah. Jackie's gone with as well. And then moving on to subs. Obviously, he made 4 out of a possible 5. The first one was Chong. Come on for Clark. Good substitution. You know, I felt it was a good sub to make. So like I say, it wasn't great as the performances from Clark. You know, like I say, every time Chong's come on, most times anyway, he's made an impact, and he did in this game. He tried to anyway, and he was unlucky. He had the shot at the end of the game. He was linking up very well with Doughty on the left-hand side, obviously doing quick passing, that sort of thing. And he was trying to get himself involved. And for me, he's trying to stake a claim, to start and maybe thinking about it, maybe start him against United, if I'm being honest, because, former team as well. I'd at least be bringing him on for sure, and hopefully he has a moment similar, depending on how the game's going, maybe to what he did when we played Liverpool at home. But I'll definitely be having him on at some point in this game, whether that's starting or not. So for me, he was unlucky. He was definitely the best out of the subs, in my opinion. And to be fair, he is a close man of the match. Obviously give it to Morris, but he's up there for me alongside Lokonga. So for me, Chong, I'm going to go with a 7 for Chong.
Yeah, I'll give him 7. He definitely, as soon as he come on, he's making the runs, going, come on, we worked in this training. You can see like 1-2, 1-2. He does work well with Doughty in that respect. And obviously that led to Doughty doing that poor cross where if he didn't, we could have scored again and maybe the scoreline would be different. But, he was always willing to run forward in all kinds of positions. This is what I'm saying. I think he could, he could possibly play instead of Townsend as well in that position, I feel, and then if you do need to close it up a little bit, then you can bring on Townsend, I think we should be going to attacking him. I think we should be playing Menji as well against his club, former club. Obviously we'll get into that, but yeah, I thought he was very good, and yeah, he's close to being, if you think about it, that you're not going to. You could also put accommodate him on the left side of that if you put Morris up front, and then I think you could put Elijah where Clark was playing as well. In my opinion, I think you could do that. Or like say swapping with Morris. And put Chong on the right up. 7, definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure. Stephen says, Chong best 45 I've seen from a sub. Should be in contention for a start versus United. Exactly. I'm sure he'd love to score. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing as well. Chong's 7. Yeah, same as us. And then moving on to Townsend. I thought he was okay. He was trying to make things happen on that right-hand side. He linked up a few times with Chio. I think he made Chio's performance slightly better. Still not great for, what we've seen from Chio, but I think Townsend did help that when coming on. Like I say, for me, it's between him or Chong, who starts against Man United on that right side. I definitely think, depending on how Chong's game is, if he does start, I do probably still say we should start Townsend away at Anfield because, like I say, that experience. But then again, some people might say Chong because obviously he did score last time out, and depending on how he plays against United, of course, if he does start. But yeah, Townsend, I thought he was okay in this game. I'll go with 6.5 when he come on.
Yeah, he was trying. He was positive. Good on the ball. Like the quality that you expect from him. Trying to break up the play more, things like that. 6.5.
Yeah. Townsend 6.5 as well. Says Jackie. Townsend showed up the right hand side. Yeah, exactly. 6. And then moving on to Berry, Woodrow. They come on at the same time. I mean, Berry was trying to make things happen, I guess. To be honest to him. So Berry, I'll go for 6.5. Woodrow, not too much. So I'm just going to go with an average 6.
Yeah, I agree. Just leave it at that. It went. It was the last
3 minutes plus the added time. So that is that. But yes, obviously our best player in our opinion was obviously Morris. That's the first votes he's got so far this season. Obviously, if we'd done it earlier on in the season, he'd be up there. But yeah, obviously he's up there. Well, now officially, for having some votes. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, overall not great as we know. Not ideal. But again, it's like I say, it's not the end of the world. The more I think about it, see, it is frustrating because I say they haven't won away all season. and then they beat us and score 3. That's the more annoying thing for me. Three goals at Kenilworth Road, where we've had close games. And this one, if I'm being honest, wasn't. We had our chances, but based on burying them and that, it just didn't look great, did it? So it's one of them. But then, like I say, you look at it, we are still out of the relegation zone. Do have that game in hand, but for me, we've just got to not lose it, because it is going to be difficult away at Bournemouth, and then the home game against them, try and aim to win that. Alongside when we play Forest at home, Everton at home, sort of games as well. But yeah, like I say, we expect a performance against Man United, and I believe there will be. I just don't really know how it's going to go, if I'm going to be honest. But obviously, we'll get into that later on in the week. Dad, any final things you'd like to say on the game as a whole?
Yeah, like what we've all talked about, what you've said, we've still got a game in hand. We're still there, albeit by points deduction currently, but maybe it give us a little bit of a kick up the arse as well. Because we was playing well, and it's a little bit of a reality check. No, you've got to do it. You shouldn't have let that slip. Now you've got to try and gain the higher ground again, etc. And it should make us think and kick on again. Basically, that's what I'm saying. We've got a difficult month this month. Next month it does actually get a little bit easier. So we just got to keep them performances up, and still be there fighting, and then I fully expect that in the next game.
Yeah, obviously we've got 3 more games this month, and they, like you say, they are very difficult. United kicking on a bit of form, Liverpool, Anfield away. We know how hard it is to go there and even try and get a draw. You know what I mean? So that's going to be very, very difficult. And then obviously we've got Man City in the cup, so against the holders. And even after that, to be honest, we've got Villa, which it ain't going to be easy, but we are at home. Again, that's on TV as well, so we'll see how that goes. But obviously, that's next month. But yeah, your ratings quickly on the last couple of players. Berry 6.5, Woodrow 4, says Jackie. Stephen says Berry 5, Woodrow NA. And Jackie also says all the results went well for us. Yep, yeah. But I would say to a certain extent, the Brentford one.
That's even more of a kick in the teeth, because that shows that if we did win, then
it's like I said, earlier on, the Palace game yesterday. Obviously we were 4 points behind. Well, we still are. If we won, we'd only be a point behind them. So it's one of them. But we'll see. We'll see what goes on. But yeah, any final things you'd like to say in general, Dad, before we wrap up?
Nah, that's it.
There we go. That is it. So big up to everyone that's tuned in. Obviously, episode 156 of The Hat Show. Big up to everyone that watched the vlog, by the way. It's got over 1,000 views. So yeah, big up. A lot of new subscribers from that as well. So do appreciate that. Obviously, our next one, as it stands, is next month against Crystal Palace. So as it stands, that should be a very interesting game, because obviously we're both in the mix in that relegation battle. So it'd be interesting. But yeah, obviously a lot of watch-alongs coming up as well. And the next Hat Show as well will obviously be on Friday. We'll do it on Friday. And then I am going to Leyton Orient versus Burton Albion on Saturday. Confirmed today, Harry, who I'm going with, managed to get tickets. So we'll be going to that. So I'll probably do a vlog to that, neutral vlog, see how George Moncur does. Former Hatter, see how he does. And then obviously me and Harry will be doing a watch-along on Sunday to the game. So yeah, that's content coming up. And then, yeah, I'm not too sure about that show. Might just do it all in one, if I'm being honest, because obviously then we're playing on the Wednesday against Liverpool next week. So I'll probably just do it all in one, really, if I'm being honest. On the Tuesday again. Probably. And then obviously I'll be doing a vlog from home with Jack. So it's going to be interesting. And then obviously we'll do a reaction, and then I don't know how long it is actually. Is it literally the FA Cup on that weekend? No, it's not. It's midweek after that, isn't it? So we can do a reaction on like the Friday to Liverpool or something like that, and then obviously do the Man City preview on Monday, that on the 26th. Because then obviously the Man City game's then. We should have Big Steve on again coming on the channel, so that should be a good one. But yeah, smash a like if you haven't already on this stream. We are currently on 12 likes. Again, I know a lot of people watch this back on playback, so big up to everyone that does. Do smash a like. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I say, big up to everyone that has subscribed from the vlog from home. We are currently now on 1,880. So big up to yourselves for that. Obviously, we're trying to get to that 2,000 mark by the end of the year. Do you know what I mean? We'll see if we can do that. But yeah, obviously do subscribe to the other channel as well. Again, we got a new subscriber on there, so do appreciate that. Obviously, link to that is in the description, as well as obviously Nightbot putting it in the chat as well. There you go. So you can just click on it and go from there. And then follow me across the socials. You know, obviously Instagram, TikTok, all of that, where we post the clips of stuff we say on here and streams and everything like that. So do check them out as well. And yeah, let's go through the last loads of comments. Big up to Big Mac and Tings. It says, got very lucky above results, proper got out of jail free. Yeah, I'll say you look at it, you know, we could have capitalised on it. You know, it is a bit, like I say, it is frustrating, you know, because they haven't won away all season and then they score 3 against us. But I'll say it's not the end of the world. You know, we're still out of the relegation zone. We've still got our game in hand, but we need to make it count. You know, it's all well and good saying it. We need to make it count. For me, as long, like I said, as long as we get draw at Bournemouth away and then try and get the win at home, I think we'll be all right. And then obviously we've got, you know, Nottingham Forest at home. You know, we need to Everton at home. They're the games we need to target to win. You know, because away games, you know, a lot of them coming up, you know, throughout the season. I'll be honest, it's going to be very difficult. You know, we've still got to play Tottenham away, still got to play Arsenal away, still got to play City away, Liverpool away next week. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting, but we'll see what goes on. You know, we've still got to. Oh no, we haven't actually. But so we've got to play Forest away, but we haven't done that earlier on in the season. So we'll see. We'll see what goes on. But yeah, definitely expect a performance against Man United, and I believe there will be. So we'll see how that goes. Big up to Jamie, obviously Sheffield United fan. He says, all right, mate, what win for us on Saturday? Yeah, no, good win for you guys. Good win for you guys for sure. You know, I'm sure you're thinking this about time you got an away win. You know what I mean? But if I'm being honest, it's like we said earlier, you guys defended well. You know, and it was difficult for us. You know, we should have capitalised more, you know, especially from set pieces, what we're very good at. And like I say, top 5 in the league, you know, when it comes to it. But is what it is what it is. As long as we perform against United, we shall see. But yeah, big up to everyone. And until Friday, should be around about 6 p.m/6:30. We will see you lot in a bit. So take care and peace. Up the town.